And today I'm going to be touching on the subject of the full map. So those of you that have been following along with my YouTube channel, following along with the content that I've been creating, you would have seen that I've just concluded season 1. I'm doing it in a structured and very specific way so that we can create the full picture from building up your foundational level and then stepping into step 2, which is your identity, which is going to be releasing the very first video of that series, which I'm calling series 2, is tomorrow at 9 AM. So that video will go live, already recorded, already scheduled, making sure that we've got everything already created and ready to go, because I'm very, very intentional when it comes to, well, everything I do, to be fair. But with what I want to do with this YouTube channel, I've probably put way more intention behind this than any other thing I've worked on in the past. Because if you've watched the trailer of the original series that I created, you'll see that I decided to create the Listen to Me When series with the essence of excellence, because I understand that there was once a time in my younger years when I first started entrepreneurship, business, so stepping into the realm of personal development, that there was a lot of information that if I would have had back then could have completely fast-tracked my journey by a significant amount of time. And what I am essentially building this for is not just for people to be able to come in, fast-track their success, get answers sooner, understand who they are, learn how to bridge the gap between their desired reality and their current reality, but be able to build themselves in the process, because a lot of us spend a lot of time chasing success, chasing finances, chasing validation, seeking all of these outside influences to make us feel better. And we have these questions that sometimes go unanswered. And one of them mainly is, why am I as I am? Why am I who I am? And why do I behave and think the way that I do? And that's why I wanted to create this kind of content and go live once a week to be able to answer questions and actually see how people are really getting on with the series so far. So if you have been tuning into the series and you have seen the latest video that I have created, which is called The Full Map, then you would have already heard some of the information we're going to cover today. But I wanted to do it live as well because there's a lot that we can discuss here that people may have questions on, but there could be specific points that feel very, very relevant to people. So if this is all sounding clear and all good, guys, let me know in the chat again one more time. Just drop a message in there and we can get this thing moving forward. But again, just want to share my appreciation to those of you that have shown up again, because of course, an extra call in the week, something else to tune into. It can feel like a chore for some people, but for those of you that are here, it is because you are seeking some kind of answer. And I'm extremely grateful that you believe that this content could be the place for you to be able to find the answer to those unanswered questions. So, as I say, with the full map, and I just want to kind of touch on a little bit more of what I was just discussing with starting the initial series and what we're going into now. So the first series was focused purely on the foundations, and they are essentially the pillars that make us up as people. And first of all, it was self-awareness, self-worth, into self-belief, and then into confidence, and explaining how each one can contribute to the one forward and the one behind it. And I released the videos in a specific order for this specific reason, but also I wanted to help people understand what point is it they need to fortify the most, what point do they need to work on and spend most time on more than the others, because we can already have natural levels of self-belief. We can already have a natural high level of confidence, but we may not have a high level of self-worth, or we may not possess the skill of self-awareness where we are aware of how we're thinking and how we're feeling, because let's be honest, for most people nowadays, we're actually seeking distractions. We've probably touched on this in many pieces of content, many conversations, maybe even last week's live, where we're saying how we essentially try to fill internal voids because we have these issues that we're not even sure what it is we're dealing with. And by any means, this is not meant to be some kind of replacement for therapy or for you to just come here, me give you the answer, and that's the guaranteed one. This is for you to be able to hear concepts, hear my insights, my discoveries, not just through theory, but through my personal experience, and see if you can reflect and relate, and if it actually almost feels compatible with where you're at in your own life. So with the essence, again, of why we've created this series and why we're doing these lives is because I want to keep it as interactive as possible. That's all I ask, is if you are tuning into this live, that we make this almost like a conversation, because I'm about to pull out the whiteboard and I'm going to break down the first series and again just touch on certain specific things, and I want to have people interacting. So if there's a specific point where people feel like they resonate most, we can dive deeper into that topic. So if that's all good, guys, we'll get things rocking. Of course, you already put ones, you can all see and hear me as well. If there's anybody you think would benefit from this conversation, and they may be able to gain a bit of an insight. Maybe you've had a conversation with someone recently that needs a little bit more insight into themselves. Drop them the link to this live. You should be able to find it somewhere at the bottom. It probably says share. Send it out to whoever you think would benefit from this, and we can get rocking. But please just make sure you keep engagement in the chat so I can ensure that I'm delivering the value that you guys have come here to be able to find out. So look, I'm just going to pull the whiteboard out now. A little bit of a move around. But the reason why I called this the full map is it pretty much is what it says on the tin, is that I want to be able to give you guys the full breakdown of these pillars. So I broke it down into 8 pillars and broke it down into 4 key concepts. There's 4 layers to building up our foundation. So before we get started, George, I know you're being pretty active in the chat. I can see guys reacting and stuff, but it doesn't tell me who is. So I need you to just write in the chat if that's okay. I'm not trying to be pedantic or whatever like that, but I can't see reactions. I can only see writing. So guys, if it's all good to get started, I'm going to draw out the map now. So we're going to start off with you at the top. And by you, this doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't include me. It's just better to be able to include everyone in what we are breaking down. So at the top of the layer, this is essentially going to be a funnel breaking down between the key foundational traits and pillars. And then we're going to come down to the bottom layer, which essentially is your desired outcome, your desired reality, what it is you're trying to step into, and how to bridge the gap, as we've discussed many, many times, between your current reality, which is the one you are occupying, and the reality you're trying to step into, which is the one you're speaking into existence. You're writing on goal cards, you're trying to manifest, you're doing all of this stuff. But the problem that a lot of people have, and where this gap that we're about to see is being created, is actually through the way we are thinking. This isn't cute and fluffy. I'm going to break it all down for you now, and if there's anything that resonates the most, make sure you drop it in the chat. So starting off with the first layer is the foundational layer. Now the foundational layer is what it says on the tin. Without working on this, everything else is going to be amplified 10x. These are pretty much the key pillars that you're going to start off with. And first of all, we have self-awareness. Now, self-awareness, for most people, we will be able to tell from the name, is essentially being able to be aware enough of self. Do you know what you are thinking about majority of the time? Are you aware what you spend most of your time thinking about, the feelings you feel most of the time, the way that you are reacting to the thoughts and how your feelings are acting in direct correspondence to what you're thinking? Have you paid attention, first of all, to what it is and where you are at right now, where your feet are, not just on a physical sense, but on an emotional sense? Because what we can tend to do, and this again is textbook stuff, is most of us, when we're going through something, we're experiencing something that we don't want to have to pay attention to, we'll find a way to distract ourselves, right? Doom scrolling, flicking through different things, watching reels, speaking to people, going out, drinking, finding different vices to help us actually then not have to pay attention to where we're at now, because taking ourselves away is a much more comfortable place to be, which is why self-awareness gets neglected so much, because we don't want to pay attention to the things that make us feel uncomfortable. So we seek temporary comfort and we have internal subconscious discomfort. We're all victims of it. We've all done it in the past, whether people want to say, yeah, that's me right now, or yeah, I've experienced it before. All of us have at some point in our life and in our journey have been through this process. Following on from self-awareness is self-worth. Now, for a lot of people, and again, I don't teach from theory. I'm teaching from my personal experience. The reason I can say this is because I have felt every single one of the things we're breaking down now, at the very, very lows and at the very, very highs. There was times in my life where I had very low self-worth. And your self-worth, essentially, bottom line, basic breakdown, is how much do you value yourself? How much do you value your time? And a key indicator of how much you value your time can be something as simple as, are you constantly giving your time away to things that do not contribute to the betterment of yourself? Where you'll just say yes to people to please people. Where you'll just want to go and do things that you know ultimately aren't aligning with you, but they'll make someone else feel happier. That is not trying to be someone that's just trying to care for others and will mask it and disguise it as all of these things. Sometimes it's because we value other people more than we value ourselves. So we'll say yes to someone else, even though it could be a massive detriment to ourselves, whether that be physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it may be. We've all done it before. I'm sure we can agree. Going on from self-worth is self-belief. Now this one, for a lot of people, they get mixed up with confidence. I can't remember how you spell belief, but we'll go with that. I think that's right. But anyway, with self-belief, people can get this mixed up with confidence. And self-belief essentially is almost like pre-confidence. It's what you have when there is no evidence to suffice that you can actually do it. So before you get to confidence, which is the next and final step in our foundational layer, you will have to have a high level of self-belief. Now, self-belief is very similar to faith. It is believing in things that are yet unseen. You have no evidence to suffice that you can actually go out and do it, so you have to build a level of intrinsic belief that you can do it when there's nothing to prove that you can right now. And confidence is built off the back of self-belief, which is where it is now evidence-based. So, for example, doing this call, the reason why I can stand here confidently and speak on camera and why I can have confidence to be able to do it is because before there was evidence to build up my confidence by doing it time and time again, I believed in myself that I was capable of doing it. I believed that there would be a day where I could stand on camera and I could speak to it and confidently continue to talk. Without that, I would never have had the evidence to build the confidence. The evidence is basically compounding again and again, time and time again, of me taking action, speaking on calls, and being able to talk to multiple people. So my confidence was first of all built through the belief that I would have the ability to be able to do it when there was no evidence to prove that I could. Appreciate you, bro. So, from the foundational layer, is this all making sense so far? Because what's going to happen on this call as well, and I'm not a guy with a crystal ball and being able to see the future, but I know how this stuff works. There's going to be some of us that are hearing this right now and they think, man, this guy's just talking absolute nonsense. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but I'm not entirely sure if he does. But there's going to be a point in this conversation where uncomfortability is going to kick in. And the uncomfortability is going to kick in not because you think, oh, I don't know if this is conflicting with my current beliefs. What this then does is it exposes the level that we are actually vibrating at. It exposes the levels that each of these pillars are actually built upon. So that is what leads us to layer 2, and that is the exposure layer. So the exposure layer is essentially what is going to breed from the foundation layer. What we're going to see come off the back of the foundational layer pillars and the strength of them. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat at the exact same time. Glad everyone's still following along. Appreciate you all. Now, in the exposure layer, first of all, we're going to have something that I don't care who says no. We have all been victims of this at some point, and it is validation. Now, who's going to be honest and admit that at some point they've had to seek external validation, where they've had to have someone supplement the way they feel about themselves by boosting their confidence externally, by telling them, you're great at this, you're more than capable, I believe in you, I believe in you. They are telling you and supplementing the level of self-belief you have for yourself. They are supplementing the confidence that you can go and do it. So now you have a false level of belief and confidence because you're running off somebody else's. So you're running off somebody else's fuel. How long can that last? Not very long, which is why people will then continue to seek validation. And what happens when we don't get a high enough level of validation? When people aren't supplementing our level of self-worth, our self-belief and our confidence enough? We then step into imposter syndrome. Because what then happens, and imposter syndrome essentially, again, all these words are pretty much easy to understand, but imposter syndrome is where you do not believe you are who other people deem you to be. So you could now start claiming you're a gazillion figure earner or whatever people call themselves these days. You could say, I'm a coach, I'm a trader, I'm an investor, I am fortified in the way that I think and feel, and I'm really strong and go to the gym, and you can tell people all of this stuff, and people can say, man, they'll give you the validation, you're great at what you do, you're amazing at what you do, but because you do not have the self-belief or the confidence, you feel like a fraud. You feel like, hang on a minute, I'm going to get exposed at some point, because everyone else, hopefully you can see this, I just want to adjust my screen, make sure you can, is that all good? So what can end up happening is you feel, I'm going to get exposed, because now other people are going to figure me out. So how about I get people to validate me and supplement how I'm feeling again to boost my belief, boost my confidence so I can try and ignore this. So I can pretend this doesn't happen. And what does that then lead us on to? The third and final part of the exposure layer, and that is the fear of success. Now, for a lot of people, fear of success sounds pretty crazy. Because it's like, oh my God, man, I'm so afraid of money coming into my life. How scary would it be if $1 million landed in my bank account right now? That is not so much what people are frightened of. They're not frightened of the outcomes. They are frightened that if they then go on and achieve this success, they can't hold on to it because they don't believe or have the confidence, or because they don't have that, they don't have a high enough level of self-worth to believe they can even attain it in the first place, or they can hold on to it when they've got it. So I'm just checking the chat at the same time. Guilty as charged. Yeah, never again. Yes, Haley, 100%. We have definitely all been there. But this is what these types of calls are about, is not just exposing everything. This is, okay, this is where we're at. Building the self-awareness to be able to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, yep, I've experienced this is where I'm at, I've been through this before, and then we're going to figure out how do we fix it. We cannot fix what we are not aware is broken in the first place. That's why self-awareness is step one. Fear of success. There's going to be times in your life, and again, people be honest, don't just say it for the sake of it. This is almost like, imagine it's a conversation just one-on-one, and you're being honest with just me in the chat, because believe me or not, most people are going to have experienced this in their life, and if they haven't, it's going to come at some point if we don't build upon the foundational layers. But the fear of success can also look like, I'm actually frightened of stepping into the unknown with the potential of going out and attaining my goal because I have not yet built the pattern recognition in my mind to know what happens when I succeed. Because failure doesn't scare most people. Most people think fear of failure is going to be more likely or more probable than the fear of success. But guess what? When we're familiar to something, are you shocked by it? Are you shocked that you managed to get to work this morning? Are you shocked that the sun come up this morning? Are you shocked that you ate your breakfast this morning? No, because you're so used to it. You're so familiar by it. So the thing is, when we have pattern recognition and we're so familiar with things, we're not really that fearful of them because we're used to it. But success is something that most people aren't used to. Most people aren't used to attaining their goals because they stop short. Their identity is of someone that doesn't go out and achieve their goals. Their identity is someone that says more than what they actually do. Their identity is they wish for more than they're willing to work for. So they're used to failure. So failure is not actually scary because people are actually used to losing all the time. And we're so used to it that we don't even question, why do I fail so often? What can I do to change it? Because it's like, well, that's the outcome I expected. I got the expected outcome because I've seen it before. My pattern recognition tells me when I do this, I fail. And although it seems logically incorrect, or it almost seems completely illogical for me to keep doing the things that are making me fail, at least I know the outcome. And knowing what can happen is far less scarier than what is the unknown. Can we agree? Can we all agree that that is something that we have all done before? We're not as afraid of failure as we are success because we know the outcome, which brings us to layer number 3, which is the output layer. And now in the output layer, this has one particular thing, right? The output layer has something called self-sabotage. Now, for those of you that don't know what self-sabotage is, self-sabotage essentially means you're going to mess it all up for yourself. And for most people, they don't understand why they self-sabotage. And why is this done in a specific order? Like I said, each one can flow backwards or forwards. So now let's see what is going to happen if we get to these points and we get to the output layer and we self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, essentially, like I've already described, is we will do what we can to prevent ourselves going to the next level. We will do what we can to stop ourselves going into the unfamiliar territories because either we don't believe we can do it, we're not confident enough we can handle the success that's to come, we're fearful because we're unsure on what success will actually look like once we get there, we've got imposter syndrome because we haven't worked on these pillars and we constantly need validating to supplement how we're feeling to try and outwit this and outsmart that and try and get to this layer, which is self-sabotage, which basically says if you don't work on this, you're going to do whatever you can to return to a level you actually vibrate at. Has there ever been a time where things are going really, really well in your lives? Everything is just aligning. You're making more money, your business is growing, you're working on your fitness, on your health, it's all going great. And then for some reason, everything just takes a massive turn, all at a sudden, and you can't figure out why. But there's even times where you'll fail and you almost feel relieved that you failed. It's like, okay, yeah, well, I'm glad that didn't work out. We'll use like these almost ways to convince ourselves that everything's okay. We'll use these terms to convince ourselves that, oh, it's fine because what's meant for me will never pass me, which I believe in. But sometimes people will use that on the simplest things. The gym will be busy and they couldn't go on a machine and they go, oh, I weren't meant to train that muscle today. No, you're using that as an excuse and as a vice. Self-sabotage is when you are going to do whatever you can to prevent this happening, and we can go spiritual with it and we can look at it from a vibrational standpoint, or we can look at it from the logical standpoint. If you, right, and I'm going to keep breaking it down as we go along because we're going to get to the final layer after this, but if you right now are not self-aware and currently you're trying to achieve something big, you're trying to achieve a level of success, and success is not just one size fits all. Success is whatever you deem it to be. Success for some people is just to have the ability to wake up and be happy. Success for others is to go out and make $1 million. It all depends on what you view success as. It is all down to perspective, and it is all relative to what you deem as a level of success. So there's no one size fits all of what success is. It is all perspective based on each of us, on how we view the term to be. So let's say we're heading out trying to achieve something great, and right now we're starting to post on social media. Let's use my YouTube channel for example, right? If I didn't build on these pillars, this would be a totally different story on my consistency, how often that I would be actually recording my videos, posting them, doing the lives, all this stuff. It wouldn't last very long if I didn't believe that I could actually go out and achieve it when the evidence wasn't there to suffice it, which then built my confidence. So let's just say you have a low self-worth, a low level of self-belief, and a low level of confidence, but you somehow receive enough validation to supplement each of these, right? You somehow outwit your low self-worth, your low self-belief, and your low level of confidence. That is still going to invite imposter syndrome. Let's say you somehow, again, outwit imposter syndrome, you're completely naive to everything that's going on, and you're like, the more I push, the more distracted I get, the less I'm going to think about this, let me keep going. You're scared of what the next level looks like, but you're like, I'm just going to keep going, I'm already deep in, I'm already in the thick of it, let me just keep pushing and see what success could end up being like, because I'm pretty sure that when I make this money, it's going to solve all my problems. Has anyone ever convinced themselves of that before? If I had a little money, all this anxiety, all this stress would go away. All my problems are all financially related, so if I just can make money and I can achieve my desired outcome, then everything else will disappear. We've all convinced ourselves at some point, which is then going to bring you to self-sabotage. If somehow you do not find a way to mess it up for yourself and you can outwit this and you reach the final layer, which is the creation layer. And this is where your reality starts to formulate from spiritual, from the ether, whatever you want to refer to it as, into the physical. And in here is your goal. What it is you're trying to attain. Where all of this is going to create this outcome. This is what the outcome's going to be. Every single time you go through to the next level, this is going to appear tenfold. So can we all agree? Let's just have a little conversation in the chat right now. Can we all agree, whenever we've set out for a goal and we've achieved it, we've always set another one? Can anyone agree that? If not, we need to have the next call's on goal setting. If no one's done that, the next call next week is goal setting. Where when we've set out a goal, we want to achieve, we achieve the goal, we set another one, right? Standard, exactly. So say your goal is to run 5 kilometers in one go, you run a 5k, you say I'm going to run a 10k next week, right? Pretty obvious, we've all done it before. We understand as we grow, as we develop, as we reach a new level, we're going to set a new target for ourselves. The goalpost is forever going to move. Thank you. So yeah, right, so we understand this, right? Let's say we're starting from level 1. We're just living a completely normal life, 9 to 5, doing everything normal, and our goals now are to step into business. You want to start being a content creator, you want to start building a business of some kind, you want to start trading, investing. You're going to have goals that are going to ultimately contribute to the attainment of your big overall goal. The first goal you could have set for yourself could be something like, I want to live in this size house with this size income with my family. Everyone's going to have their own idea as we've discussed, but you could have a massive goal, and then when you're setting those goals backwards, the smaller goals are going to contribute to the attainment of the bigger goal. So let's say this is just one of the smaller goals to contribute to the bigger one that we have. Let's say we've managed to outsmart and outwit this whole funnel. Let's say all of this doesn't apply to you for goal 1. You achieved goal 1. Congratulations. We'll relate it to content creation. Let's say your goal was 1,000 followers and you want to start working with brands. You get to 1,000 followers, all of a sudden you get brands reach out to you saying that they want to send you products, they want you to give you a retainer, and you want to start making money. You're like, oh, okay, that sounds great because that's my goal. But in the back of your mind, you're going to start to feel like a bit of an imposter. You're going to start to think, what if these people figure me out? What if they realise that I'm not the person that is making this content? What if there's inauthenticity in this content that I'm making, that I'm claiming to be authentic? What if I'm pretending to be somebody that I'm not? And I don't believe that I can go on and attain the next level. Self-belief starts to become wobbly. You start to notice that your self-belief isn't as high as you thought it was. So what do you start doing? You start to question if you even deserve to be at this level. So you start seeking validation. Hang on a minute, no, I can't do this. Let me get other people to tell me how great I am, and that will make me feel motivated and fired up to keep pushing on. So now you've started exposed through this exposure layer where we have these, but we're going to now become self-aware enough that, hang on a minute, I don't believe in myself, my confidence is pretty low, I'm not sure I can push on to the next level, and my self-worth, I don't really value myself enough to think that I even deserve this success. I don't even love myself enough to think that this should come to me, someone else should do this. I'm an imposter. What if they figure me out? What if I get it all wrong? Start to self-sabotage. If you somehow outwit all of this again, you now get to 10,000 followers, you now start working with brands, and it gets bigger and bigger each time that you ignore this, the stakes get 10x'd. Because if you start to get to the point where you've built a business on someone that you aren't, and you've been giving out all this information, pretending to be somebody that you're not, and you do not believe you deserve the success that you're seeing, but you've just pushed on, and you've just stepped into this hustle culture and this hustle mentality of, oh, if you just keep pushing, you just keep working, you just keep ignoring how you're really thinking and feeling, you just keep going and get your outcome, and you get your desired reality, and you get the results that are going to supplement how you're feeling, and other people will tell you how great you are, and other people will make you feel better, and other people will like your posts, like your pictures, and they'll tell you that you are someone they want to be like, and you're sat there thinking, this person is telling me I've inspired them to become better, I've inspired them to change, I've made them think that they want to be like me and go to the level I'm at, but I don't even believe I should be here. I don't even think I have a high enough level of self-worth, and I feel like an imposter, and I'm scared what the next level demands of me, because what if this person figures me out? And that is something that most of us may not have experienced before, but this is a preventative. This right now is very relevant to all of us, but this is the preventative, because we've all got goals. And the reason why I speak about this type of stuff is because the last thing you want to do is work, put your sweat equity, your time, energy, effort, you put your money into this, you put everything into this, and imagine you spend the next 10 years of your life trying to build a life that you want to live by design, and just before you reach it, all of this kicks in. Because you thought you could outsmart your reality long enough that it wouldn't matter. You thought that you didn't have to work on your self-belief and your confidence because you realised that, oh, okay, what I'm doing right now is working, so why do I need to change? I just need to keep pushing. I just need to keep getting through the stress. I don't care about how angry I am. I don't care about how frustrated I am. I'm just going to keep going and something will work. Something will give if I keep pushing for it. Imagine you convince yourself that's the way forward for the next 10 years of your life, and just before you get the goal, you hit a level of burnout, which essentially burnout is pretty much just in alignment with what it is you're wanting to actually do. You realise, I don't really love what I do, and then you suddenly need to have a career change. You need to change direction, change path. But it was something that you used to love to do. But you let life forget why you started to do it in the first place. Because you then started to think that the reason why you're not seeing success as much as you wanted to, or you started to lose the love and you started to fall out of alignment with it, was because time passed on and you changed. No, you're still the same person if you ain't working on this. You ain't changed. The situation and circumstances haven't changed. This got exposed. This come to light. And now you've had to come to a realisation that, hang on a minute, my issue was that I didn't work on myself. My issue was that I never even believed I deserved anything that I got. My issue was that I weren't even confident I could go and do it. Now, why can I stand here and speak with such confidence in what I'm doing? Because I know I am who I say I am. I'm authentic in everything I do. Yeah, I can't even actually see the amount of people who are on this call right now, but I'm speaking as if there's 10,000. In my mind, right now, there's 10,000 people watching this call. I can't see the numbers, but to me, there's 10,000. To me, the chat's going crazy. To me, this is all making sense and people are writing notes and this is all like, that is what this is to me. Because I believe enough that one day, if I keep building the confidence and doing all of this type of work, I'm going to completely prevent all of this because I don't need anyone. I've built a mentality where I don't need someone to tell me I'm doing good to keep me going. And that's not just to stand here and say, hey, praise me, everyone, you should be like me. No, this is me teaching from experience. I haven't gone and researched something in a book and thought, what will be cute and fluffy to teach to people? What can get me views? I'm not aiming for virality. If I was trying to get viral and I just cared about posting content that everyone would click on and start doing lifestyle stuff, I'd go ahead with that. But I'm focusing on probably the most, literally, you can call it the most saturated niche there is out there in content creation. Everybody tries posting personal development stuff, but what am I teaching from? This is all stuff, I've created this through my own personal experience. Because I know what happens on the good side and the bad side. I know what happens if you apply these types of things and then you ignore them when you're completely broke. And I know what happens if you apply them when you've got money and you're up and you're achieving your goals. Because there's been times where I've achieved a goal, I've got to the end and I'm like, that weren't even worth it because I don't even believe I deserve this. I'm not even confident I could do it again. I don't even know how I got to this level, let alone the next one. And all of a sudden it's daunting. And all of a sudden you're frightened to keep moving on. So why is this so important? This is almost, again, it is the foundations, but it is your protection layer. It's your bubble. It is your defense mechanism on going into the next thing because you want to live a purposeful and meaningful life. If you're on this call, you're hearing this information, it is because there's some level in you that has a high level of intention to be able to learn more so you can be more, do more, and have more, and not only go out and attain your goal. You want to keep it. What do you do with foundations? You build upon them. You set the foundation to build up from them. You have a weak level of foundation. What is this built upon? Yeah, it's built upside down, but we flip the board. The goal's at the very top. If you build on weak foundations, what happens up here? It will come crumbling down. Neighbour said, well, yeah, 100% wondering what's going on. Why is he yelling so much? But no, but this is it, right? If that making sense, just let me know. Just chuck a 1 in the chat if this is all making sense so far. But we've explained why it's important and what can you really go and do about it. What can actually be done about this. Because if you guys are like willing to share in the chat or you can message me afterwards or whatever you want to do, if you guys could share with me which one of these do you think is most relevant to you? Which one? If there's multiple, share multiple. We're here, we've got time, we can do whatever. Share which one you feel is most relevant to you. Do you think if you had to go work on one thing or something you've experienced the most, because these are things you have to work on. Of course, you could have experienced low self-confidence, low self-belief. You could have experienced that. Is there times where you've experienced imposter syndrome before? Where you've found yourself wondering, do I deserve to be in this room? Where you've been asked to give a testimonial or you've been asked to share your story or something and you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, I don't even think I deserve to be up here. I think somebody else should be taking my spot. They must have asked the wrong person. Or maybe you got a promotion at work and you think HR must have got it wrong. HR must have chose the wrong person because I don't believe or I'm not confident enough and I'm not worthy enough to be able to go out and achieve a promotion of some kind at work. So I now feel like they must have got it wrong. And you're going to do what you can to self-sabotage to go back to a familiar territory. Just seeing who said what. Self-belief, self-worth, to be fair, imposter syndrome, imposter, a bit of everything. Listen, I appreciate all of you, but Jen, that is incredible that you are willing to say that you've experienced all of it because that's what this call is about. This is everything I've experienced. And all of us have, and of course I asked for the most relevant. But where everyone said mainly like imposter syndrome, I think all of us have experienced that. And the reason why we've experienced imposter syndrome is purely because we haven't just worked on these. We haven't built our confidence through having the art of self-belief, which these two, as I say, they work in unison with each other. This essentially is just believing or actually having faith in the unseen. You can build a level of confidence off of having the evidence you've done it. A simple example, as we've already given, I know there was once a time where I didn't know how to write. And I had to believe that I could pick up a pen and someone could teach me how to do it. And now I've written so many times, I'm confident I can just do it without thinking. Same as driving. Before you got into a car for the very first time, you had to believe that whoever was teaching you how to do it had the ability to teach you how to do it. And then after a certain amount of hours, a certain amount of practice, you built the confidence through the physical evidence. So this happens before this. If you do not believe you can achieve something, no matter how many times you do it, the confidence will never build. Because you still don't believe you can do it. Doesn't matter how many times you've done it. If you do not believe you have the potential or the ability to do it to the highest standard, the confidence, it will never come. Same as self-worth. The reason why self-worth comes before self-belief is people will struggle to believe in themselves if they don't even feel worthy of what it is they're trying to go out and achieve. I don't feel worthy of becoming that person. So how can you, if you do not feel worthy that you deserve success, how can you believe you can attain it? It's impossible, right? We can all agree. It is absolutely impossible. I struggle with validation now, but getting to the output layer, self-sabotage. Validation, and I really like that you admitted that one, because with validation, this is something that a lot of us do without even realising. And validation isn't just like ego boosting or anything like that. Sometimes needing validation is also having someone else confirm your idea before you go and act on it. So an example of this, again, it is a contribution of low self-belief and low self-confidence, but have you ever had a really, really good idea that you thought you want to act on, but even though you know you could go and do it, you still go and seek outside counsel to tell you if they think you are capable of doing it or not? And that is because you're looking for outside validation. You're looking for someone else to boost your belief and tell you you can. Even if part of you knows you could do it, you will still go based off of what this person says. You could be seeking validation from the wrong people. Because someone could say, you could be amazing at something. You could be absolutely incredible. You could be an athlete. You could be a runner. And you say, do you know what? I think I might start teaching other people how to get into running. I think I might turn into a running coach. Let me go ask my friend who doesn't run if they think I should become a coach. And they say, nah, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you're good enough. That'll knock your self-belief. It works both ways. You're seeking outside counsel to tell you if you should go and do what you know is best for you. And that is down to poor lack of self-belief, because you do not believe you can do it, so you need someone else to give you validation. That works both ways. So same with imposter syndrome, same with fear of success. But how do we go and fix all of these things? Which is exactly why I built the videos I did in the way that I did in the series, because now whatever one is most relevant to you, you can go back and watch a designated video on each of these subjects. Because with this, with self-belief and confidence, it is an easy fix. It is. But first of all, we need to actually develop the understanding of self-awareness to know that that is the problem in the first place. And without me keep repeating this over and over again, this mainly, like I say, is more about using foresight and forecasting into the future of what can happen if we don't work on these. Because there's so many people on this call right now, I already believe you guys can go out and achieve whatever it is you want to do. I believe the human potential is unmatched. That we all can go and become, do, have whatever it is we want. But we get in our own ways through not focusing on these basic parts. What do we then step into? Identity. Because this again is what I'm following on into the next series, and I'm not going to go too much onto it. What's this? Oh, hang on, sorry, there's a couple of messages I just want to read these. A combination or envious will put your idea down and then throw you off. Exactly. And that again is also down to the lack of self-belief in the other person. They don't believe they can do it, so they don't want to see you go and do it, even if they think you can. Because most people will hate in you what they wish they had in themselves. So that's a reason why people will talk you out of a great idea, because they think, oh man, that's such a good idea. I wish I could do it. I believe they can do it, but because I can't, I don't want them to. Maybe that's relatable to some of you as well, but that's something that I've also experienced in my time, where I know I can go out and do something. I'll ask someone else for their opinion. They'll tell me, oh, maybe not, and I'll do it anyway, because I'm going to do what's best for me and I'll figure it out. That's just the way I am. I like to learn through experiences, not just through theory. But as I was saying, why I've stepped into now like the second series of what I'm creating in the Listen to Me When process, it is about identity. And with your identity, we're living in for some people, they're living in two separate ones. Where one, they're someone who is going out in the world and telling people like, yeah, I'm so happy and grateful now that I can achieve X, Y, Z. And they'll tell people who they want to be, what they want to become, what they want to do. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to become a public speaker. I'm an athlete. I want to build a business. Like, you'll say all of these things, but internally, that is not who you are reflecting as. Because you are saying out to the world, you are stating to the world who you want to become and who you want to be recognized as, but internally your words are actually conflicting your actions, because we all know that there's different things we can do on a day-to-day basis with habits, with the way that we work, with the thing that we are doing consistently, and that compounds. So each time we are doing something new, we can all agree it's very basic stuff. The more we do something, the more it compounds, the more we build on it, the greater the result. And that is essentially what we are trying to create with the next series, is being able to help people understand how do they shift from the current identity they are stating to people that they want to attain, or even stating to yourself. It doesn't always include other people. When you've got your goal list and you're writing down who you want to become, what level you want to go to, what you're trying to change, that you are debt-free and you're making X amount of money and you got this car and you're writing down your dream life, your life scripting on a piece of paper, that is your stated identity, who you want to become. And then your occupational identity of who you actually are is not reflecting that. And this is where we can kind of go into, I'll move this out of the way and I'll come sit down because I feel myself getting fired up about this part. I'll literally wrap up with this now. But I've discussed several times, if you've been on calls with me before, you would have heard me speak about writing down your goals and writing down who you want to become and then figuring out what that person does and learning, okay, how do I bridge the gap between who I am now and who I want to be? Affirmations. Yes, affirmations definitely help, but affirmations only help if they are not just words on a piece of paper. You need to have emotion behind it. You need to have belief that you can go out and attain it, because if you sit there and go, oh, I'm so happy and grateful now I make X amount of money. You don't believe it. You don't even believe it. So you're essentially just reading words off of a page for no reason. Without the actual belief behind it that you can go out and attain it and achieve it, it means nothing. That is what essentially will create the emotional connection, as I've spoke about. I remember in the last live I said about this, but when Bob Proctor says you have to have your goal and emotionalize yourself with it, we can use visualization. Again, if you haven't watched my last live, it is recorded and saved, so you can go check that out. But that is why affirmations, they do help, but you have to have a high level of self-belief behind them that you can attain them. But going back to the identity part of where we're saying about bridging the gap between who it is you are right now and who you want to be, are you living in alignment with that person's habits? Because we can all do very, very basic things, and all I'm trying to do here is expand your mind. So I hope this isn't going too far on a bit of a tangent, but what we want to essentially be able to do is realize, okay, if someone is in great shape and I don't go to the gym, but I want to get in good shape, what's the logical thing to do? I want to get in good shape, but I don't go to the gym. But the version of me that I'm manifesting, writing down on my goal list, I weigh X amount, I've lost 10 kilos, I'm in this shape. What's the logical thing to do? What would that version of you do? They go to the gym, wouldn't they? So the logical thing would be, let me have my current version, my occupational identity, start to build the habit of going to the gym, and that habit is in alignment with a version of me that I want to become, and then they're going to have the same habits, and eventually I'm going to end up at the same destination. Makes sense, doesn't it? So this isn't just so much about things that are like all cute and fluffy. Like I say, what we're talking about right now is about having the awareness. I will never teach something and tell you not to act on it. I want everyone to go out and attain their goal. I want everyone to become the version of themselves they want to, live their life they want to, attain whatever it is you want to see. But we have to talk about the awareness first. Because if I sit here and start saying, here's the actions you need to take to go and make money, or here's the actions you need to take to start doing this, this and that. If we're working from phase 3 on weak foundations, is the goal going to be worth it when you get there? Because I know sometimes, and again, like I understand like what I'm talking about, and I know where I have to meet people from where they're at right now. We all want to fast track to the success. We all want to fast track to the end of the goal list. But when we get to the end of that goal list, those goals are being written at the state of consciousness we're in right now, without building the foundations, there's no point. Because we'll just be talking about things and learning things and doing new things when it's built on weak and cracked foundations that you're all going to lose it anyway. And that's not to say you can't outwit it. We've already been over this. But this is why I speak first of all from these important topics. Because when everyone goes out and achieve their goals, and no, it's not going to be a byproduct of me. Everyone's going to achieve their own success in their own way. Everyone's destined for their own greatness. But the reason why I teach from square one, and I don't say all the cute, fluffy, as we've already discussed, the viral stuff, saying, oh, I'll come make X amount of money, because I want people to come and have a conversation with me, listen to what I have to say, achieve what it is they're setting out to do, and they keep it and they build upon it. Because doesn't that sound like a much better way to live? Doesn't that sound like a much more authentic way to live? That's how I've seen it. I don't want to build my life on weak foundations, so why would I share that information with anybody else? Building those habits, build self-belief. Yes, of course. Because, first of all, self-belief, as I've already discussed, comes before all of it. You have to believe you can actually go out and attain the thing before you have evidence to suffice you can. So whether that's a forceful way, and first of all you're like, yeah, I can do it, and you just push it upon yourself and to force yourself to take the action, and when you're taking the actions and you're building the evidence that you can do it and you build the confidence, and the self-belief also builds as a byproduct of the build of that confidence, then you're going to have the habits built. Habits are easy. They're literally, I think the stat is like 28 days of repeated action and it will become a habit. It's easy enough. You're habit stacking. You're literally just taking action again and again, and you want to have a way you can view it in your mind. Every single time you do an action that aligns with the version of yourself that you're wanting to become and no longer confirms your current identity, imagine that is you casting a vote for the new life to step into place. Imagine every single time you take action and you are building and compounding on decision after decision after decision, and you want to make it in a logical way of understanding it. Every time you think to yourself, I don't want to go to the gym, you're choosing the identity that is out of shape. Every time you say, no, I am going to the gym, you're casting a vote for the identity that you want to step into, the reality you want to step into, because you're saying, I'm on the side of the person I want to become because I'm taking the action that version would. Every time you sit at home and you don't take action, you are taking the side of the person that you currently are, that clearly you don't want to be, because if you were happy being who you was, you wouldn't have a goal list to become someone else. So that's what it's about. It's not about trying to just shoot off in a direction and hit it quick, because yes, we want fast success. We want things to happen quick. We want to condense time frames, but guess how you can condense time frames? When the foundations are solid and you don't have to keep rebuilding from square one. Then that way it can compound and grow faster and faster. We all understand how the compound calculator works. We all understand how compound interest works. And I'm sure there's actually an audio by Bob Proctor where he talks about this. He's got several, but one of them is called You Were Born Rich. And he's given an example of if you put $20 away for 10 years, every single week, you put $20 away, after 10 years, you would have X amount, right? You'd have $1,000 a year. For 20 years, you'd have like 20K. And then after that, if you was to go put it to work and you was to have it compound 10%, at the end of that time, you'd have 200K instead. And then if that compounded at 12%, you'd have 400K instead. Like the math, of course, I'm just giving an example, but it's saying compound interest. As you build every single day, every single week, every single month to every single year, the results become bigger and faster. And it works financially, and people can comprehend how it works in a financial aspect, but people struggle to see it in a physical aspect. They struggle to see it in their actual day-to-day life and reality. Because if you eat in a calorie deficit for a day, you're not going to see you've lost weight. But if you eat in a calorie deficit for a week, you're going to notice a few pounds are gone. You do it for a month, you're going to look leaner. You're going to probably drop a dress size. You're probably going to drop a jean size. You do it for a year, and all of a sudden, you're in the best shape of your life, and you're ripped to bits. And you're happy and you're healthy. And then you'll see other areas being contributed to that by your discipline that you've built through the habits of being a disciplined person. Is this all making sense? Because I feel like I'm going to end up just going on a mad one, because this sort of stuff I'm extremely passionate about. So is this all kind of making sense? Because, of course, I've painted out the full map, explaining why it makes so much sense and why we have to focus on the internal foundations first. This is not because I only want to be cute and fluffy. Trust me, I don't. I do not want to just seem like this cute and fluffy guy that only speaks from ideas and theory and not experience. I know what can happen when everyone just makes those simple decisions by building the foundations. Because we all want to be the best possible version of ourselves. I'm sure we can all vouch for it. We all want to attain the goals. But the point I have to keep reiterating and saying again and again is when you get there, you want to keep it and you want to build on from it. For those of you that are traders, you'll understand the analogy. When we're moving up and we are going in an upwards trend and we are moving higher in price and higher direction, we are building different ranges from different levels of support and different levels of resistance. So when we're in an uptrend, we're seeing the support being at the bottom and we're seeing the resistance at the top. Imagine that chart is your life. So imagine when we're building and we're heading in an upward trajectory and we're heading up to a top end of that range and we're wanting to break through a level of resistance, but we don't have high levels of self-belief. We don't have a high level of self-confidence. We self-sabotage. We have imposter syndrome. What are we going to do when we meet that level of resistance? Which isn't in trading talk. Let's imagine it's a price in your, let's say it's like an account balance. Let's say it's $1,000. Every time you get to $1,000 or £1,000 in your account, you do something, you over leverage, you over risk, you over trade, and you end up back blowing the account. I'm pretty sure anyone that's a trader has done that before. And they're wondering, why do I keep doing the same thing again and again? Because of this. That's why it is relevant in trading. Trading, if anything, is almost a direct reflection and teacher of life more than it is about finances. But let's say you're trying to carry on. You're hitting resistance. Let's say price is purely driven by the action you are taking. And every day you are taking the actions that contribute and compound to the attainment of your dream life. You hit that point of resistance again. What do you want to do? Do you want to have a breakout or a fake out? You want to break out and you want to turn that level of resistance into a new level of support. So now we've built up heavy, strong foundations. We've broken through to the next zone. We've come back and retested at what was once a level of resistance, and we've now turned it into a level of support, which we want to bounce off of and we want to head up to the next level. Is that making sense? Because that's what you want to view your life as. So you can have a continuation of that uptrend. So you can head towards the next level, towards your goals. Or do you want to keep bouncing off the same zone and staying in the same range for the rest of your life and wondering, why am I not growing? Why am I not getting to the next level? Why am I doing all the affirmations, all the stuff? Why am I reading the books and I'm not really applying much and I'm just chasing money and just chasing success but not doing the internal work? Why am I not getting through? What would you rather? Would you rather keep questioning that experience? Or would you rather know that by compounding the foundational levels every single day and you're moving forward and your decisions are compounding every day towards the version of you want to become, you're building the habits of the person you're trying to live as, is heading up and you no longer bounce off a level of resistance. You just keep blasting through every day. You're parabolic with success. Would you rather that? Would you rather that was the way you lived? Because people say, oh, it's got to come down at some point. I'd rather come down to a level that most people are trying to attain. I'd rather my pullback be someone's high. That's what I'd rather. But let me know if that's making sense in the chat. Because I know sometimes some things make more sense when they're spoken in a different language. And I know a lot of people that will be on this call will be traders. And that to me is what I understood. The more I compound, the more that I focus on myself, the more that I take actions towards the person I want to become and I bridge the gap and I shift the identity, that's when all of this is going to work. But I can't shift the identity without strong foundations because the version of me that exists right now is nothing but a contribution or a physical manifestation of all the decisions I've made over the past 90 days, the past 180, the past year. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree they are exactly where they are based off what they've agreed to or what they've chosen not to do. You're in the situation you're in right now, and again, I always use the gym because I like to use analogies that people can really understand. You right now could be in amazing shape because you decided for the last 6 months that you're going to have a clean diet and you're going to train every day. You could be progressing towards a new race time, a 5k PB, 10k PB, whatever it is, because you decided you were going to get a plan, follow the plan for 3 months, go in a training block, and you're going to go out and achieve a PB because you compounded the daily efforts. Or you could be someone that's still thinking about starting. You could be someone that keeps saying, oh man, I'll go to the gym soon. I'll get into that soon. I'll start taking my life seriously soon. And you're in the same position based off the compounded efforts and compounded ideas that you've had over the past year. Some people are still operating from the same level of consciousness that was created 10 years ago. That to me is crazy. Imagine being the same person in 10 years. And actually, the way that you are coping with not changing and the way you are coping with not growing is by using phrases such as, that's just the way I am. You ever heard someone use that before? I can't help it, it's how I am. I can't help it, it's the way I think. I don't know why I do this. Most people don't even know why they think or feel the way they do. Most people don't even know why they use the language that they do. And I can give a clear example of this, and this is the last thing I'll wrap up with. Like about creating that consciousness where it becomes a subconscious way of behaving. And this is through habit building, habit stacking, through compounding effect. Because sometimes it seems like the easier route to just succumb to our environment. But I believe that everyone would say their life would be 10 times easier if they got to the end of that goal list and they lived that reality. How much easier would your life be if on your goal card right now you say you want to be a millionaire? How much easier would your life be if you didn't have to think about bills ever again? How much easier would your life be if you didn't have to think about supporting your parents ever again because you know it was sorted? How much easier would your life be if you had your health at the highest level it could be because you actually train yourself every single day and you put clean food in your body? How much easier could life be? That's the way I see it. It would be wonderful. And guess what, Mary? We can change that to it is wonderful by taking action today on the habits that we know we need to contribute to who we want to be. It sounds, I know, right, that it can sound cute and fluffy. I know it can sound like rah, rah, rah. I know it conflicts with some people's beliefs. But when we take the spiritual aspects and spiritual elements out of it and we treat it as logic, and you sit someone down who's a complete atheist, doesn't believe in any higher power, no higher being, no God, they just think we're here through evolution, thanks to Darwin. They think that's why we're here. And you say to them, do you believe If you lift a weight every day for a month, your muscles are going to grow. They'll say, well, yeah, of course. It works the exact same. Whatever belief you have backing it, it is simple logic. If I take action to becoming the person I need to be, to attain the things I want that version of me would have, why am I not doing it? And guess why you're not doing it? Foundations. Because you don't believe you can do it. That's why. So it's not even just about cute stuff. That is why. Because we're not building high levels of self-belief. So yes, we can come on these calls every single week. And I promise you guys, I will be here every Wednesday, whether you are here with me or not, whether you bring 5,000 people with you to here or not. I'm going to be here giving the same energy. Because this is what I believe my purpose is. I believe I've been through everything I've experienced in my life for this specific reason. I feel like I've had to experience hardships, setbacks, forwards, back, whatever, success, whatever. I believe I've done everything I've meant to done, and my life has been orchestrated in a specific way so I can pass on my experiences to help other people. And that's not just about me. I'm not just the only vessel. We all have that. We all have the ability to do that. But how do you turn that pain into purpose and that pain into passion? By stepping away from victim mentality and stepping away from why did this happen to me to why did this happen for me? Because when you can see the silver lining in every adversity you've ever been through, suddenly you'll find your gift. Suddenly you'll tap into what your reason why is. Suddenly you'll understand why those things had to happen. Because until we get through the storm, we struggle to see why the storm had to be persevered through. Because when you get to the other side and you see everything was better and everything had to happen for a specific reason, why you had to experience heartbreak or loss in some way so you could get out with someone better, so you could step away and learn from the situation. At the time you're wondering, why am I being caused this? But when you stay in victim mentality and the pendulum is simply swinging between positive and negative experiences, which again are just perspectives on what we deem as positive and what we deem as negative through our own lenses of life, when you can start to see everything with a silver lining, and whether you use it as a coping mechanism or you realise that that is the way that we can grow, then you will start to attain what it is you really want in your life. Then you'll really start to be able to give back to people. Then you'll start to see the value you hold. Then you'll start to see the reason why you experienced everything you did. You'll start to see the purpose behind your setbacks. And that's exactly why I can talk about the things I do. I do not believe in reading from a textbook and trying to teach it to other people if you have not yet done it. There's principles that I am now learning that I can apply to my future self. There are some. But I can't teach people how to reach a level I've never been to. But I can teach you about this because this is the stuff that was exposed in my life when I started to reach new levels. So what does it make more sense? Me to sit here and talk about how to achieve certain goals, or teach you how you can become the person that has them and how you can keep them? I'm pretty sure that's the most important part. Whether it seems like the fun bit or not, whether it seems like the painful part or not, when you've got the foundations and you decided to listen to this information, instead of watching all these course sellers and watching all this other rubbish that's on this app of YouTube, telling you go and try this skill, try that, don't worry about how you feel, push through, who cares? And you see the outcome those other people will have in 2 to 5 years' time, and then you see that you've built solid foundations, and all of a sudden you're on an upward trajectory and everything just comes into your life and you just receive everything and you don't ever feel concerned with lack or loss. Everything just works out. You'll be grateful that you built from the ground up instead of trying to start from square 10. So listen, love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for everyone that attended another live of me going mad, because this stuff just fires me up. This is generally my energy and passion towards these subjects and these topics, and I wouldn't be able to do it to the scale that I am without you guys wanting to be present. So I'm very grateful. Like I say, we'd do it with 0, we'd do it with 1 million, but at the end of the day, I'm super grateful that I get to share this journey with you. Because love you, Mary. Thank you so much. And appreciate you, Jen. Thank you so much, George, and later as well. I can see you guys have written so far. Thank you so much. But at the end of the day, this is a journey, not just for what I can provide to other people, but for myself. Because the way I view this channel so far in my mind is I'm going to have this at 1 million subs. I know this channel one day, whether people stick the journey and they carry on with me and they want to hear the information and they contribute and ask questions, whether that is the case, I can assure you there will be some point in your life you come back and look at my channel, you see my name somewhere, and I will be at 1 million subscribers. And that is not just for me to say, hey everyone, validate me because I want to attain my goal. No, because that number is nothing but a reflection of the impact I'm providing to other people. I don't care about anything other than that. That number is a reflection of impact. And that's what it's going to be for me. And you guys are on the journey with me when I'm at like 198 subs. If you haven't yet subbed, go hit the button. Let's get to 200 tonight. But this is the thing. It's a journey. It's a process. And there's stuff I'll say today that in 6 months, a year's time, I may have grown through these experiences. I may have learned new things that kind of contradict where we're at right now. So I'm excited to grow on this journey with you. And those of you that want to connect with me, you can find me on socials at Harley Hamblin. You can connect with me on WhatsApp for anybody that's in a group with me or has my number. Most people do these days. And you can find the links to my other things as well in the bio or in my channel on here too. So listen, love and appreciate everyone. Thank you so much again for staying for the whole call. I do appreciate that we did do an hour. But hope everyone has an amazing week and look forward to hearing from you all soon.